Palmer, here in segment 2, we're going to talk about the arrival of Tim Hamby, the guru of marketing and the knowledge of how to get message out to the world about come to New Smyrna Beach, Port Orange, Edgewater, Oak Hill, Osteen. This is the bevy of tourism heaven. He did something that was unprecedented in coming up with this program, and I know you were very proactive in working with him, as the board was, in beach weeks. You had the spring beach weeks, I guess. Tell us about what that impact it had on the overnight stays.
Well, first you got to comment on Tim's approach. Tim was entirely interactive with the board. He would provide extensive briefings to the board of where it was going. And in fact, he was on board 1 month and gave us a 12 or 13 page document on everything he'd done in that month to prepare. As he moved towards beach weeks, he brought it back to the board with the concept. At the same time, we were looking at rebranding the organization, both in terms of the graphics as well as the slogan, to change this to a focal point on what is great about Southeast Volusia and the New Smyrna Beach area. Tim came to us with a very broad-based approach that included beach weeks, which you have to understand, it also included advertising way out of the area up to New York and other places, national advertising through USA Today, and the introduction of billboards on I-95 and I-4 advocating people to come to our beach weeks proposals.
Even people driving by, hey, I gotta check this out while I'm here.
Yes, he also did something new. He contracted with a local videographer who's done extensive work in New Smyrna Beach and who does fabulous photography and video stuff to run specific videos and photography for us. Those videos and that photography became integral to Beach Week and was used on a lot of the billboards and the materials and the pamphlets.
It's what we call in the internet news business a multimedia platform, where you combine story, blogs, video, sound, to bring it all together.
And then he closed the loop, but with the rebranding, which included the Pure and Real.
That was Tim Hamby.
That was Tim Hamby, and the photography and the settings, some of which I think are now on the billboards, because after Beach Weeks was done, the billboards are supposed to be refaced with it. That stuff is incredibly good, and the board was impressed. The board supported Tim all the way down the road, and Tim, you could trust to do the right thing, and his interest was there, and he was professional about it.
Now, shortly after Tim's arrival, Cosmos has exited out. You're now voted in by your peers as the new chair of the Advertising Authority. So it's a new director, it's a new board member, new board chair, and you're going into your own. There must have been a lot you had to clean up from a board chair's point of view in terms of organization and structure.
Well, I think you also have to understand why Tim left. Prior to me becoming the chair, I had a lot of conversations with Tim, one-on-one, just as a member of the board and then as the treasurer. And Miss Denys, Councilwoman Denys, was constantly taking Tim to task on various issues.
The micromanaging issue.
Yeah, some of which were legal in nature, but they were, it's hard to describe here. The board had approved something, and
to be clear, Councilwoman Denys is District 3 County Council member Deb Denys, elected in November 2012 for a 2-year term, representing Southeast Volusia.
Yes.
One of 7 members of the County Council.
That's right.
And there was a lot of concern that maybe overreaching one's authority without the full consent and knowledge of the board in terms of micromanaging.
Well, I know she talked a lot with Tim, and I know she took him to task and actually had some showdowns over issues over in the county attorney's office. Those issues were rectified by the board. They weren't major in nature. They were more procedural than anything else. And there was nothing that was technically illegal about what he did. It was just a procedural issue. But she seemed to, he was getting a lot of pressure, and he was being concerned with. And I personally think while he had a great opportunity to get a new job up where he lived, making more money than he had here, I think certainly the pressure he was under was part of his consideration for leaving.
Well, let me ask you this. when you're in a position of authority, you're not there to be a glad hander and to make friends. You're not going to make friends when you have to clean things up. And I believe one of the things that the county council applauded you for, including Ms. Denys in the first go-around, was how grateful the county auditors were that you were able to untangle what was just a complete mess and bring structure and integrity and a blueprint for where to go from here. And I think that was the biggest strength that was recognized when you attended that council meeting. I don't think some of the board members didn't know who you were, and they're voting on a whim.
Well, and you have to understand what was going on. The county had placed the authority under a quarterly audit because of the carney. Normally they're audited annually. In that quarterly audit, they would produce an audit report. And prior to me getting involved with them, nobody was responding to the audit. It went to the board and people read it, but there was no response back to the auditors. What I instituted was I created a database system where you could enter the data, and it produced a report, and that went back to the auditors that said, okay, we recognize what you said, and here's how we're fixing it.
A matrix.
No, it was more of a response letter. It took each item that they had.
But it was structured.
Yeah, and it gave them an answer as to what the authority was actually doing to do it. That's what the comment was related to. According to what I understand, nobody had ever done that before.
All right, we're going to go to segment 3 in a moment.